heard him all the way from there. That man was screaming for his life, bro.
Yeah, bro.
That joke was hilarious.
If I was there, bro, I think he would have probably shot me in the face, bro. Did I tell you about how I shot him in the face that one time I was in there for?
Literally, bro.
That was so funny, bro.
I'm just like, let's stick to Nerf guns. These are less painful.
Yeah, we are the same age, bro. Why does he keep doing that? Our stand is kind of.
Oh, I think I know.
And why is this doing this?
Yeah, that's the reason.
This is gonna be a bunch of random clips in this junk.
I'll record this.
And I said, like, depending on where the angle of that camera is, like, I know we're not getting to the wall. You know what I'm saying? It's just math. You know what I'm saying?
I wish I was
Yeah.
Why is it doing that, bro? It keeps recording on its own like that. Like, see how, look.
Didn't you press record?
No, I didn't. Oh, wait, it's the button.
Y'all already know what this is. Do I even really need to quit playing with us? You already know, like, bro, it's MPower. It's episode 14, and we got someone with us.
Yeah, hi
today.
guys, my name's Teniah. I'm the new guest. Yeah, I'm gonna replace Josh.
So yeah,
That's not true. That's not true.
No, actually, moving forward, we're gonna just take a different approach with MPower. Just, hey, you know, we felt led to just have Teniah replace.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's because I'm prettier than him. So.
I mean, like, I don't know if y'all noticed, but something's a little different about me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm just praying real quick. Hold on, let me put my head down. You know,
The men popping out with the braids on y'all, bro. So
I think I left my water over.
Yeah, it's splashing too much over here, so you know what I'm saying. But
Yo, we love y'all, man. It's so good to have y'all here, man.
yeah, literally, like, I'm excited for this episode. We've been sitting on this one for a minute. Because we want to do it right, you know. We're gonna do something. We're gonna do it big, and we're gonna do it well.
Do it right.
I mean, we're gonna probably do it in the ghetto fashion, but you know, if you want more answers about that, stream Blackish. You know,
Creative fashion.
creative fashion.
Creative fashion.
What episode was that?
That was
9. 9? Blackish? Yeah, Blackish. Go stream that episode if you want to know what we mean by ghetto, because that don't automatically mean black.
Means
There you go.
creativity.
Creativity.
If you're not being ghetto, what do you? No, I'm joking.
Anyway, so today we're gonna talk about a really interesting topic. I was scrolling through TikTok, and you already know.
We already know what that leads to.
Nothing good ever really comes.
Well, yeah.
Except sometimes, but usually no.
A couple fire episodes from TikTok.
A couple fire episodes, but I was scrolling through the tickety of talkists, and yeah, I mean, I saw this woman of this black woman. And did I say I saw this woman of this black woman? Did I say that?
It's a woman of the black woman, yeah. You just want to make sure that she's a woman and she's black.
Right,
You wanted to emphasize that.
I saw this video of this black woman, and she was basically kind of just like pouring out her feelings about the word female. She was talking about how she felt like, and not just her, like many other black women in general, felt targeted by that word. A lot of people will just, for instance, like in case you don't know, like they'll say white woman, Hispanic woman, black female type deal. It's almost like, oh, they're not on the same level. And first off, like how have you felt about that, Teniah? Like, what's up with that?
Okay, I remember in like, I think freshman year of high school, that's when it started getting like, oh, you're gonna call me a female, you're gonna call me a female, blase, blase. But to me, honestly, I've never had a problem with the word per se, but it's just the way that the tone that men have when they say it. Like when they call me a female, they're like, nah, bro, because these females be like, okay, what do you mean by that? But if you're just
It's like the Dr. Umar.
yeah.
Oh no, not Dr. Umar. What is it? The big dude off TikTok. He's like, what do you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. Because it's like, I don't know, because it's only certain guys when you like just, you kind of feel like, okay, he's saying it in a derogatory way. Like the way that you're saying it is meant to like offend me. But like for the most part, people just be like, oh no, I don't be talking, like if somebody's like, oh, I don't be talking to mad females, then it's like, okay. But with certain dudes, it's just a walking red flag. I'm like, nah, why you say it like that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, for sure, we can establish obviously like some people saying like with one sort of intention, other people say with another sort of intention. But like regardless of the intentions, it always goes back to intentionality.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, you know, like It's like with the N-word. I'm not saying it's on the same level as, you know, clearly that's different.
Definitely not.
But
There's no debate on that.
Yeah, there's no debate.
Yeah.
Like, and we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah.
But it's like, where was I even going with this? Oh yeah, it's just the fact where, like, regardless of how you're trying to say it, it will still feel offensive to some people, and like that's kind of just how it is, you know. And when you hurt people, and when you do something, whether you meant to or not, to like make them feel something other than contentment, then you have to check yourself a little bit. It's just like, oh, well, I mean, how much do I care about saying this over their feelings type of deal, you know? Is it something that I absolutely need to say? Is it really that important? So, I mean, ultimately, like, that's kind of just like the general statement with that. But the thing that I find really interesting with this word, this word, is that it's kind of like a more of a recent slur, you know? Like back in the 90s, I don't really think that they, like, this was really a conversation, like, oh.
They was calling us something else in the 90s.
It was definitely a lack of representation and equality.
Yeah, there's some other stuff. So, I mean, the fact of it being recent tonight, like, do you feel like maybe that's why people are even willing to debate it right now? It's just because, like, oh, like, you know, this is now, like, people are just now starting to speak up about this, like, Black women specifically are just now starting to speak up about this, so maybe that's why, like, people aren't really taking it serious?
Possibly. I think our generation's weird with that in general. Like, I feel like maybe because also we could take offense to so many different things that it's like, okay, can we tackle something else first before we get here? Can we do this before we get here? Like, so we're on so many different topics because we're still focusing on the N-word. Now people are talking about, oh, should you be saying female? We're still talking about things like certain words to say with the LGBTQ plus community and everything like that too. So it's like, there's so many different things we're trying to tackle. I feel like this is like, or at least people are taking it like it's not as important as the other stuff, which to a degree it's not. But also it's like, it's still a point that we need to make in our generation because it is a word that like people are really pushing out there that's not good.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, real quick. I just feel like real quick, like I feel like in a lot of things, I feel like a lot of people can agree that people tend to put issues of Black women last in life, you know, whether it be in the medical field, because we know that even just with that, like there have been instances where they will like, oh, like no, like they won't really take their pain seriously, and that's how a lot of Black women have ended up dying, like in childbirth or stuff like that, you know, like they typically, like as a society, I think it's pretty like well accepted that people have put Black women last, like at the bottom of like priority, and it's just like, why is that, you know?
Yeah. And I think, you know, I always, my mom has always raised me, you know, to think and believe like, hey, you know, people are people. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Racism is real. Yes, inequality is real. And, you know, I guess growing up, you know what I'm saying? I've experienced racism and stuff like that. But growing up, I've always tried to give people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? And as believers, as people.
That's dangerous.
Vocals? No, but like the thing is, I'm realizing, bro, and I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, yo, we should just be able to look at people as people. But unfortunately, man, our society is just not. It's just not like that. You know what I'm saying? There's still prejudice. There's still racism. There's still sexism. And I think when it comes to this thing, like you said tonight, like there's just so many different things that as people we're worrying about. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what term offends this person and what term offends that person? But I just feel like this all originates from people that say things with the wrong intentionality. You know what I'm saying? Like the derogatory term, you know what I'm saying? Like female, you know what I'm saying? It started 9 times out of 10, it started with someone that took the term that had bad intentions. You know what I'm saying? Like you know that something is wrong. You know that they're saying that from a derogatory place. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes one of those things, okay, well, let's just ban this word, period. Because some people obviously don't know how to act. There's going to be more people that know how to act. Out of pocket. And there's going to be other people that don't know how to act, so let's just ban it, period. You know what I'm saying? But then I see, this is what I have experienced a lot, you know, in myself. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could remember this situation, man. I can't remember the details, but just recently I was hanging out with some friends and I said something. And I can't remember what I said. I can't remember what the topic was, but like, hey man, you know, you may not want to say that, you know, because this I was like, oh, that's a thing now? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't even know that. But, you know, as someone, if I meet someone, let's say I have no idea about the female term, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to a girl or I'm talking to somebody and I say it and they get offended. My intentions aren't bad, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I just offended someone because it's offensive to them. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? And it all started because someone with the wrong intention started to use a slur. So I basically rambled and said all of that to say that as people, it's very important just how we say things and where our intentions are, because we're just going to continue to create these terms, continue to create these things that are offensive. And then our society is just going to continue to go down this route of, oh, don't say this. And then you just feel like you're walking on eggshells every time you're talking to someone.
And I want to start getting into that, because now we've established, obviously, like the grievances Black women have had towards that word. But like what you're saying right there, I kind of want to take it back a little bit to episode 5, canceled. Because, and if you haven't watched that episode, go back and watch it. But because like on the topic of offense and all of that, it's so easy for people nowadays to get offended. You know, in the last episode, I believe, we talked about like how my friend was just giving his testimony about how he used to be in a wheelchair, and then this dude behind him, like 2 seconds into him speaking, was like, "That's horribly offensive to disabled people." And I'm like, bro, well, I hate to break it to you, he was a disabled person at one point. So like, I don't know, like I think he can speak for himself, type deal. And so we get offended by so many things, and it's like, obviously, like we're a body of believers. If you didn't know, Teniah loves Jesus as well.
Amen.
Even though like it may not like, no, I'm kidding. I was trying to say something really out of pocket, but to be honest, I don't have anything bad to say. That's good. She's amazing. That's Chris. Amazing.
Love you, Chris.
But no, like even though like we're a body of believers, obviously, like it is our goal in every conversation that we have, whether it's people that we do know and we're close with, or if it's a random stranger on the street, like we want everyone to feel loved. We want to shine our light, and we just want to promote like positivity and love throughout the world. But how do we, as like people who like believe in that, like where is the line, you know? Because we'll say things sometimes and like it'll accidentally offend people, and whether it's just because we're ignorant to that sort of offense or whatever it is, like how do we remain sensitive? Because like, believe it or not, like as a body of believers, we are still supposed to like have that awareness of other people's feelings and stuff. But how do we remain sensitive to their feelings while also not bending to culture? Because culture will bend you over backwards, push you every which way, like literally, like it'll make you bow down to every little thing. And it's just like, okay, we can't follow the culture, we can't follow the hype, we can't do all that stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we should just blatantly ignore like people's feelings and stuff. So like, how do we do that? Especially to ask the question even further tonight, like how do we remain sensitive to like Black women? You know, if you want to use that as like a little two-parter.
Okay, honestly, with the being believers and everything, because you know, like we're in the world but not of it. So like we have to be aware of what's going on, especially with Black women, because we are like kind of just discarded like in pretty much everything. So I think it's just important, like Josh said, like he said something he didn't know was offensive, but like it was. But when somebody brings that to your attention, like, okay, that kind of like, that made me feel some type of way, that's offensive, that's a slur, that's this and that. As long as I feel like we take that into accountability with what we say next. Because if you didn't, like, if you're saying females or whatever, and somebody's like, oh, I don't like how you said that. Like, as long as you take that into accountability and like, okay, let me like make sure the next time I speak, that I know that, okay, this might be offensive to someone, but then at a certain point, then we also have to realize as believers, like, I'm still gonna follow the word regardless. And especially as me, like, I'm gonna say what I feel. Like, at the end of the day, like, if I feel something, I'm gonna say it. And then if somebody wants to add their 2 cents to that, then like, I'll take that into account next time I speak. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna feel how I feel.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. Like,
as you should.
Like, I'm still gonna talk my talk at the end of the day.
Right.
So like, I feel like as long as we just pay attention to what people are saying, but then bring it back to what the Word of God has to say at the end of the day, then we'll be able to decipher life easier and just be able to.
Yeah, and did you? I just gotta say this real quick. So like, you literally touched on what I was about to say next, which is perfect because like,
great mind think alike.
Here's
but
the thing.
Fool's really different.
I love my dad. Me and my dad have conversations like this a lot. You know, in terms of what's offensive to people. You know, as believers, you know, we cannot be afraid to offend people because we're gonna do that. Even, you know, just based off of what we believe as believers, as outsiders, as pilgrims, foreigners, and strangers, that's just what's going to happen no matter how nice we say it. You know, but here's the thing, not only do we have to put our best foot forward, you know what I'm saying, and say things in a kind manner, in a loving manner, but we have to make sure that we're not eating our meat in front of our brethren. And what I mean by that is like, you know, in the Word, it talks about how if it offends your brother to eat meat in front of him, then just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times that can be really humbling, you know, and it can be hard because, you know, at least for me, you know, I'm one of my flaws, many flaws, we all got flaws. One of my flaws is that sometimes, like, I'm the same way, you know, I speak my mind, but if I feel like have the right to say something, you know, and I'm supposed to, then I'll say it, you know, the old me would say it regardless of what people would think and do it regardless of what people would think. It's like, why should I do this and do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't tell me what to do type thing, but that's by far not scriptural at all.
Right.
Because here's the thing, like, we shouldn't walk on eggshells when we talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Because we just can't read minds. You know what I'm saying? We can't read minds.
I mean, maybe y'all can.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Personally, I'm that guy, but like, you know.
I can't, but like, we can't read minds, so there's no sense of trying to stress this and stress that and trying to stress, like, okay, let me make sure if I say this, but you just have a normal conversation, you just do your thing. But when you have that situation where you realize, oh, this is offensive, you just take that into mind. You know, and even if you do feel like, oh, that's stupid, or that doesn't make any sense, or why would I have to do that or do this? It's like, okay, if it offends my brother, then don't do it. Because what's the point of arguing your point, even if you feel like you're right, and then it's just causing more strife? Are you really ministering to someone? Or even if you're an unbeliever, does that help the situation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what I learn, and I'm trying to learn every single day, is that, okay, even if they do feel like it's right, even if you do feel like you're in the right and it's dumb for that person to, you know, and nobody's ever stupid for what they feel or think, but if you feel like
Feelings are valid.
if you feel like someone being offended by something is dumb, just don't do it. You know, it's just as simple as that.
Before I forget, both of y'all said things that like were really, really good. For you specifically, Josh, I think what I've learned in those sorts of situations is you have to speak confidently and carefully at the same time. There's a way to speak confidently and carefully, I feel like, because when you're about to approach someone, you know, and let's say physically they just automatically look different from you, whether they're a different skin tone, different gender, they have a different sexual orientation. You can't really see that, but you know, like, I mean, sometimes there are signs, but like, you know, not everyone acts that way, you know. But if they look different from you, like, automatically you have to think in your head, be like, okay, what things, like, how should I speak to them in a manner that they find respectable? That's fine. Like, you think before you speak. You should really always be doing that. Yeah. But on the flip side, when you do finally say words, like when the words come out of your mouth, you should speak them with boldness, and you shouldn't be like trembling and feel like, oh, can I say anything? Like, no, like you've taken your 2 seconds to, like, you know, think about what you're about to say. So now you can speak confidently, and, you know, like, even if at that point they still are just like, hey, like that right there, like, you know, that isn't right. You'll be like, oh, okay, my fault. You know, like, you take that into consideration, and then you address them accordingly. Yeah, because, absolutely. You know, with what you said about, like, what'd you say about, like, the meat? Like, don't eat meat in front of your brother type deal. Yeah, like, because for me, and I guess we're going to take it back to Canceled Again, episode 5. Yeah. Like, if I'm having a conversation with someone who happens to be transgender, let's say they used to be a man and they transitioned into a woman, then if they want me to call them, like, you know, her or like anything like that, I'm gonna do that. And the reason why, like, even as a believer, as someone who's like, you know, who believes in God, obviously, the reason why I'm gonna do that is because in the same way as what you just talked about, me like wanting to specifically offend them by like not going with their requests, that can cause them to stumble as well, because obviously they're already not like living, you know, the life that they should be or whatever, as far as like Christ, like. But at the flip side, they're gonna be like, wow, that Christian right there just flat out didn't respect me. So I'm already away from God and I'm already away from church. Let me run even further, because this person right here just showed me that they don't even care about me. They don't even care about me enough to respect me when they're addressing me. So yeah, I already don't like God, but you know what, matter of fact, now I hate God. Now I hate, like, literally, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but like, this is like how things happen. Yeah. Your unwillingness to just be sensitive to people's, you know, emotions and to respect people in general, that can stray people even further from God, which is ultimately the antithesis of what you were trying to do in the first place. Yeah. And what you were saying, as far as just like taking people into consideration, like I think ultimately what it all boils down to is just listening.
Yeah.
Like, take time to listen. It is okay. Like, it literally says in the Bible, be slow to speak, you know? So we should be quick to listen to people. If they say something, they call us out, they, want to tell us, like, hey, like, you might have, fumbled in this area. Then be like, okay. Like, what I always do, if someone tells me something like that, like, if I realize, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said this, or maybe this just wasn't the right time for this, I take a step back. In every situation, and I'll think to myself. I'll even talk to God. But, like, if you don't talk to God, that's fine. Like, just take a moment and think to yourself, am I tripping? Literally, like, that word for
where's
word
that
off
mirror?
of no, like, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and you got to, like, literally, I will always say to myself, am I tripping? Because if I am, then I'll be like, oh, dang. Well, thanks for calling me out, and then I'll proceed the conversation. But then if I'm like, oh, I'm not tripping. Like, if I, like, genuinely take the time and be like, no, like, they're crazy, then that's when you can proceed with that conversation in that sort of way, and you kind of give your 2 cents on that, and then ultimately both of you leave the conversation in a way that's fulfilling to both of you. But you have to take that time to listen, like you were talking about. So did you have something that you
I feel like you pretty much
oh really
thing on the head. I feel like one thing I just like thought of too while you were saying that is, especially like as believers, like if we're gonna talk to someone, like obviously respect people just because people deserve to be respected.
Yeah.
But then also it's important, like you were saying, like when people feel like, because I know this happened a lot when I was like younger and I didn't really know how to talk to people and I just had an attitude problem. Like when I would try to talk to people and then I'd come back to like I was just being rude to them, and then I'd be like, oh, but also like in the Bible says this is that. Like people are not going to take your advice when you've just disrespected them. Like nobody's going to care. Like,
literally.
Because I can talk all I want to, and as wise as the words might be, if I come off in a rude way or if I say something that's just offensive, they're gonna be like, well, she doesn't really care.
It's like that TikTok audio was like, why should I?
Why should
I?
Like people are not gonna be able to listen to you if you come off like, just even if you're not talking about God or whatever it is. Like if I'm just a rude person and then I try to sit here and be like, okay, let me help this person by giving them advice, nobody's gonna listen to them, because I'm not gonna listen to someone after you just tried to cuss me out. Now you're talking about but the word says
Jesus
like,
loves you, so I don't care.
Exactly. Like I'm not gonna listen to you at that point. So like just being mindful of that, like because you can't really control what people think is offensive. Like I think some stuff is like, okay, like the girls at my job, love them to death, but like they'll try to touch my hair a lot, which to them I'm like, your hair is so, especially because like
your hair is different. Can I touch that real quick?
Like the amount of people that came up to me when I first got my hair like this and was like, I just have to touch it. It's just so pretty. Just hands, just
you don't know how many times, literally, you don't know how many times I want to be like, touch my hair and then die. Like, but
like so many people will just be, oh my God, I want to touch your hair. But to me, I'm like, like, okay, just give. But then, to them, they're like, oh, I'm doing it in like a loving way. Like, oh my God, your hair's so pretty. I'm complimenting you. But I'm like, if you took 2 seconds to just listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth, I'm telling you right now, like I had to tell one of the girls, I'm like, you can't sit here and keep touching my hair. Like, whether it's in a fro, if it's in braids, when I have my hair in locks, like, you can't do that. So even while they're trying to tell me, exactly, I'm not an animal, you can't keep touching me. So even though they're trying to like tell me like, oh, but I'm just trying to compliment you. It's like, well, I can't even see past the fact that you keep touching my hair. And to me, that's just disrespectful. I'm not an animal. This is not a zoo. So I can't see past the fact that you're touching my hair. You're just all up in my face. For you to be complimenting me, like I'm not even taking that into consideration anymore.
Yeah, I mean, even Jesus, he met people where they were.
Yeah.
Like you can't, and that's one thing I even learned, in leadership. It's just like don't stand above the students if they're sitting. Like see eye to eye to them, connect with them first, and then if you guys want to rise up, you rise up together. Yeah. But like if you're automatically at different levels, then it's just like they're not gonna really relate to you in that way. Leadership, what I was told, is being close enough to relate to, but further enough ahead to guide. And it's the same thing in our conversations. Like if you're trying to minister to someone, or like literally, it's just like you have to first meet them where they at. If they're saying, oh, this thing is offensive, or like they're telling you like, hey, this is how you should approach me, I'll be like, all right, cool. Like I will humble myself in this area, so that way we can have an intentional and good conversation.
Yeah, and I this is so good. It's so good. So like, and I just want to say too, just because you are saying the truth to someone with respect as a believer, it does not mean that you're compromising your beliefs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about how you say it. And again, the flip side, it doesn't mean that you say things so nice and you're so loving, but then you leave the word out. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a balance. Me and Me and my dad, we get into these conversations all the time. Love you,
I
Dad.
need to meet your dad, bro.
I love you, Dad, if you're watching this. But like,
I'll be watching.
basically, like, we always get into these conversations, specifically about, you know, the sin of same sex. You know what I'm saying? Approaching and ministering to someone that, you know, is, you know, in that sin, just like any other sin. You know what I'm saying? And then we're just talking, and we're like, okay, so Dad, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're trying to minister to someone, which way do you think, which person, me or you, do you think they would listen to? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hell this, hell that, you know what I'm saying? It's a wicked abomination. And I'm okay, what you're saying is not wrong, but like not my way, but just the way that I would approach. Hey, you know, we all fall short, we're all in sin, but this, you know, this lifestyle, it's not right, you know what I'm saying? According to the word and according to the scripture. Now, they might cuss us both out, that's true. But which way has the most opportunity, the most likelihood of ministering to someone? Which one would they most likely listen to? They could definitely blow us both off and say, hey, you know, leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of here. But like, at least I can say, you know, with a bold chest, like, hey, at least I put my best foot forward. I tried to plant the best seed that I could, because a lot of times I feel like in church, we feel like if we don't say it harshly, and if we don't yell, if we don't do this and do that, if we don't just yell and get it across, and we're not mean, then we're not ministering the word, then we're compromised.
I'm pausing right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking louder does not equal speaking with boldness.
Oh, I got it.
Yes.
Continue.
Shoot. It's crazy that you said that, because literally, I'm not going to put any names out there, because I want to get a good,
Call them out.
I want to get a good grade in class. But like, basically, every month we have these for outside projects outside of school. I've worked on sets before. You know, filmmaking is very tough. You know what I'm saying? It's very intense. You have 10 hours paid time to get a shot done. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very intense. It's fast paced. You don't slow down. But I've been on sets with, you know, outside productions where, you know, for the most part, I've been around a lot of really cool people, but sometimes I'll get on sets where people are yelling and cussing people out. I'm like, hey, F you better do this, get this right. Oh, move on to the shot, that's a terrible. And it's just like, when I first moved down, I was like, oh, this is just the business. Like, this is just how it is. And then as I got more mature, as I started to develop my craft, I'm like, wait, there's no need to do this. Right. You know what I'm saying? I literally just finished wrapping a very difficult set 2 weeks ago, very stressful. There was no cussing, there was no yelling. We were just vibing, and we got the job done. And then I was like, wait, so why are they yelling like that? There's no need. So I'm like, oh, they're just trying to do that to seem tough. And then I realized I compared the productivity of, you know, the sets I worked on where everyone's chill, but still doing the job, and the sets I've worked on where they're yelling and doing the same job, and the other side is more productive.
And it's always the insecure ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, first, if you're going to minister to someone, that's a very good point. If you're going to minister to someone, you want to check your heart and make sure, hey, am I in a place to minister? Because what I'm about to say might be a little controversial, but it's like,
Cancel.
If you're in a place where you feel like you would do more damage to someone to minister than good, just don't say anything at all. You know, I'm at a place where, like, if I feel like literally a few days ago, I had the chance to minister to someone, and it was really, really cool. But literally right before, I was going through a very frustrating situation, and I was like, man, like, and then God was telling me, hey, listen, I know you want to call that person minister, but before you call, sit down, calm down, pray. And I was like, yeah, but these situations have nothing to do with this. Like, yes, but that irritation and that pain, whatever you're dealing with, that funk, it's gonna seep into your ministry. You know what I'm saying? We have to be on our stuff, and that doesn't mean because we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? That's literally one of the P's in MPower. But it's just, we need to make sure that we are in a place where we can minister, where we can talk to people, where we can talk to people with respect. It's just respect. That's the bottom line, man.
And I'm glad you said that, because as we're wrapping up, obviously, there's one more thing that I kind of want to get into. It's just like, we don't respect each other nowadays, especially, like, specifically, like, we're gonna talk, like, we're gonna get into this, like, within the Black community, like, there's just no respect amongst us anymore. Like, we'll be scrolling through TikTok, all these different social media platforms, and it's just like, black men are at the necks of black women are at the necks of black men, like coming for each other's necks and stuff. And it's just like, why, like, where's the respect? Like, we are so busy fighting amongst ourselves that the rest of the world is laughing at us and we don't even realize it. Bro, like,
Divided.
like, it's so crazy to me because I'm like, shouldn't we be in this together? We should be, like, it should be us against the world, if anything. But we're so busy doing all of this arguing around issues like this, which obviously they're important, but like, it should be a 5-minute conversation. Honestly, it's like, hey, this isn't right. All right, cool, boom, we're done. Like, literally. But we will dwell on this. We'll push back. Like, well, I want to say this. Well, I want to do, like, bro, like, it's like we care about these things more than we care about people. And so, from the perspective of a black woman, I mean, I want to know, like, how do you feel as far as just in the sense of like us constantly just going back and forth at each other? Like, how do you feel with the whole TikTok rivalries and just all of that? Like, how do you feel that makes an impact in our community as a whole?
Wow, I've been waiting for
She's
this.
I'm
waiting for this. Okay, especially when it comes to like social media, I feel like that's like a big thing because it like definitely put an emphasis on the problem. Because before it was kind of just like, okay, I guess that happens, but like maybe it's just my household. But now you see, like, you go on TikTok, like I'll go on TikTok and there'll be some random black guy being like, oh, which one's better? Dark skins, light skins, mixed girls, blah, 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 blah. I was like, that's all that's on my For You page. I don't know why, but that's all that'd be on my For You page. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I want to definitely say that, like, I think a lot of it, one, is pride, definitely pride, because there's just a lot of pride going on, especially in this generation. But then I also want to put some of the blame on, like, the past generation and the people who raised us, because people don't get that mindset from themselves. Like, I definitely have my mindset as like the same mindset as my parents. Like, they raised me a certain way, so I'm gonna think a certain way. But I do know a lot of people in my family, they'll kind of like treat black women, especially darker skinned women, like less than. So like, if that's all that's been pumped into you, like all your, because I know definitely a lot of black men, like my dad, well, not my dad, but like a lot of people.
She called him out.
My dad's fine. Like, definitely my uncles, cousins, like the older men that's in my family, they will just like blatantly like disregard and disrespect black women just because they just don't care. But like, that's what's been fed into them, like from older generations. That's what they're gonna feed into their kids, and they have been feeding into their kids. And then like, boom, now it's pumped out on social media. So now we're getting all this like colorist and just racist stuff that's just being pumped into people, and then they're feeding that into the younger generations, and it's just never gonna end, because that's the one mindset that they have, and they're just gonna stick with it. And then people are so prideful, they're not gonna listen to people when they're like, hey, especially if they're bashing dark-skinned women and all they have in their comments is dark-skinned women being like, maybe you should chill out with that, like, we're the same color, like, chill out, I don't know why you're saying that. They're gonna be like, why is this dark-skinned woman talking to me? Why is like
they're coming for me?
they're coming for me.
I feel
Always-
It's the exact opposite,
exactly.
actually,
Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to sit here and be like, you're disrespecting people, and all they see is like, oh my god, I don't know why this girl's talking to me. Oh my god, see that you guys are just fulfilling a stereotype. You're just aggressive and you're just mean all the time. And it's like, that's not me being mean. I put my foot down and I told you I don't like what you're saying to me, and all of a sudden I'm the aggressive black woman. I'm the angry black woman.
I want to talk about that. I'm so glad you said that. Because when we start to rebuttal people and when we start to call people out, like, obviously, like, what we want to do is we want to say things in a way where it's like it's productive and not like bashing them. But at the same time, I feel like even just as a whole, but like we'll specifically relate it to black women, but like even in the black community, like, we've been very patient people throughout history. And especially black women have been very patient people. So it's like, can you really blame people for finally like being tired? Like it's kind of off topic, but like that's why you see riotings and stuff like that happening in 2020 and all that, because it's like people had enough. It's like like being the nice guy, saying things in a soft tone, you know, in an understanding way, like that doesn't always get through to people. Sometimes you do have to like raise your voice, and it's not you getting bolder, it's just you finally getting their attention.
Exactly.
You know, because sometimes that's the only way people react. And am I saying that's how we should correct people? Am I saying that we should bash them? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when people do it in a way like of that, you have to be understanding, like, bro, they're tired. Like, people are tired. Black women are tired of having to constantly repeat themselves and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
Like, they'll go on all these platforms, they'll say all these different things, but it's like nothing's being done. That's where the responsibility falls on ourselves as individuals to just, again, take the time to listen, and have these intentional conversations. Like, yeah, we're recording right now, but what we're doing, like, is really beautiful. Like, it's two black men and a black woman. Like, we're having a conversation, and you know, regardless of the fact that this is an episode, we're gonna walk out of here in a different way because we heard different perspectives, and like we're understanding more. We're being edified. We're being empowered. So, like, when you see that happening, if someone corrects you, especially on social media, because social media is a fake place, you know, like, don't take it too harshly or whatever. If you get canceled, hey, sorry. Like, but like,
We just lost some followers.
yeah, but they can go. But like, if someone corrects you in a harsh way, obviously, yeah, it's gonna suck. But you have to also think, like, did I deserve that? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because how many times have they had to say this? You know?
Yeah. It's. Did you have something?
No, you didn't.
No, it's one of those things where it's like you said, it falls on us. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, if you feel led to do something, if you feel led to maybe, I don't know, start a group or start maybe like I don't know. I'm not saying it the right way, but then do it. You know what I'm saying? But I know the number one way that you can do something about it, that you can feed into it, that you can, you know, make a difference, literally just by the conversations that you have every day.
Right.
Things literally like this. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. When you're in a group, trends start with conversations. Trends start with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, word spreads through people. Just think of high school. You know what I'm saying? How word just got around. It's like, oh, so-and-so did this and said all that stupid
Just
stuff.
watch Euphoria at this
No.
point.
Literally.
Maybe don't. There's a lot of.
I've never seen it. I
haven't
haven't really been watching TV like that, man.
Violently inappropriate.
Very
Strange
very.
too, though. That's like something I'm
Strange
gonna.
too.
But anyways, like, basically, like, it's one of those things where you just make a difference in your small group, and it doesn't matter how small your group is. Because here's the thing: the small group. If you're in a friend group of two people, that two people has other friends. They have other friends. And if you have two people, for instance, that are talking and they're using derogatory terms and, you know, they're disrespecting everything, you be the respectful one. You know, you be the bigger man or the bigger woman, you know what I'm saying? And you make that difference. And when you make the difference, even if people don't like you, even if people don't respect you, they're gonna be like, oh, that's different. Because here's the thing, when you make a difference, even if people don't like it, even if people don't respect it, it's stuck in their heads. You know what I'm saying? And that's planting a seed. You know what I'm saying? When you plant a seed, God says his word never comes back void. You know what I'm saying? So whether you think you did something good or not, or I'm not even making a difference, you are making a difference, because eventually those seeds are gonna influence, and you gotta be consistent. You know what I'm saying? You cannot be respectful one day and then ramble on social media the next. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to talk from, you know, a believer's perspective and an unbeliever's perspective. From a believer's perspective, you know, we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? We always mess up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just a hot mess without God. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. I know for me,
Even with God, we're a hot mess.
and he still corrects us, though. He gives us the power. But here's the thing, like, I always say this, and you've said it first. It's always stuck with me ever since you said this, bro. Like, and I can't remember which episode it was, but if you're in a situation where you feel like you're the type of person to ramble and start drama and start stuff, and you feel something on your heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, man, that person really just did this, and then I'm gonna go on social media and I'm gonna start this. That's where the disrespect starts.
Yep.
That's where it starts. If you feel like you're that type of person, find someone trusted, a trusted friend that you can talk to and ramble to them, you know, and express to them, you know what I'm saying, and rant to them. And then here's the thing, when you do that, I promise you, no matter how mad you are, when you do that, it will be less of a temptation for you to go off on a spree on the fake world of social media. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, from a believer's perspective, you have to talk to people. And, you know, even if you're an unbeliever, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, find someone trusted. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely, if you think about it, you know what I'm saying? I've met a lot of people in my life that thrive off of the drama. They love the attention. It's that victim mentality. They love when they feel like someone is against them. It's like, oh, everybody's against me type. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and here's the thing, if you're an unbeliever and you feel like you're that type of person, or you just see all that stuff and you're so sick of it, you know what I'm saying? Try out Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Just try Jesus. Try Jesus. No, I'm not gonna sing. But like, anyways, like, try Jesus. You know, just think about it. Like, is there more to life than just what you're doing right now? Not that what you're doing is useless, but I'm saying, is there more to life than just living day by day? Like, are we really just here to work a 9 to 5, pay rent, you know what I'm saying, have kids, start a family, and then die?
It's kind of tough.
You know what I'm saying? And even if you're financially stable, 100%, like, what's next? You know what I'm saying?
Imagine having a best friend 24/7. Literally, you can just talk to about everything. You know, it's very relieving, you know, to say the least. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You know, like, and also with that, you know, when you're talking to people, also remember, like, you're not entitled to a specific reaction.
Yeah.
You're not entitled to them, you know, approaching you with like how, or I guess reacting to how you approach them in a specific way. Like the people are like how they choose to react. Like that's on them. You have to take that when, you know, you say something and black women react, and again, I hate the narrative of like angry black women or whatever, but like if they do specifically in that moment, like come at you in a harsh way, like you're not entitled to them coming at you in peace, you know, like because again, they're fed up. And as they should be, you know, but you can't use that. Don't use that instance and be like, oh, this is why I don't talk to black women. This is why I don't get with black women and all that stuff because they're always so angry. They're always so this, they're always so that. Because then you're just taking that one instance and you're perpetuating an entire narrative off of that. And I hate to break it to you, but the world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah.
So, that's really it for me. I mean, did you have any closing thoughts, any last things that you wanted to kind of get off your chest, say it with your chest, you know what I'm saying?
Let me think. Okay, I guess to hit on something that Josh said, with community and everything like that and just being able to rant to somebody. Also, I think it's really important to just make sure you have someone who you know is going to pour good into you.
Right.
Because I know there's a lot of times where I'll be like ranting to someone and they're like, well, then go off on that person. Like, then do it. Like, they made you mad, so like go off on them, talk about them, do this, and that. And I'm like, okay, maybe you weren't the best person to talk to in this situation. But then when I go to my friends who, especially because I just started getting like community who's like believers, when I go to them and I see the difference and they're just like, well, you know, just pray about it. Make sure you always pray about it. Pray about it even before you talk to your community sometimes. Like, pray about it. Like, because God's always going to pour good into you. So like at the end of the day, you need to pray about it regardless because people can only do as much as people can. Like, to be honest, they're going to tell you what they think about the situation, but at the end of the day, you're still supposed to be listening to God. But, like, make sure you just have a community that's just going to pour good into you and that you can definitely, like, trust what they're saying is for your best benefit. Because sometimes, you know, you talk to people and they're just like, oh, maybe you should do this, and it sounds good, but they're doing that for your downfall. And even though it might not look like it at first, when you look back, like I look back in my life at certain situations, I'm like, that person was rooting for my downfall at the end of the day. Like
praying on that jump.
Praying on it. So just make sure that you know that. Also, watch your audience. Same thing with like being sensitive to different topics. Just know who you're talking to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I'ma still believe what I believe. You know, they're going to believe what they believe, but if I know it's going to offend them, I know who I'm talking to. Because me saying the N-word to this person might not seem like anything, but then to my other friend, it'd be like, okay, don't say that around me. You know?
like Candace Owens type beat. Ooh,
Yeah.
I said her name. Wow. Sorry.
Cancel.
Sorry. She's a politician. That's fine.
Yeah.
We don't do politics on here. But rule number 1. But yeah, like absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And specifically with that, like, don't just rant to people. Like, you should have a conversation. Yes, you can get everything out, and it doesn't mean that they need to give you advice per se, but even them saying like, hey, like I hear you and I feel you, like that's them pouring into you. It should never just be like, all right, I'm done, bye, you know?
Exactly.
Like that's not a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, so people will pour into you. Like she said, be careful who pours back into you. Because if we're like, it's one thing to have conversation as we should, but if we're not having good conversation, edifying conversation, empowering conversation.
Shameless plug.
You're watching it, so. You know, but then it's not going to be good for us. But ultimately, I think that was a very empowering episode. For sure, I do say so myself.
For sure.
So we appreciate y'all listening, and don't just listen to us. Like seriously, listen to Black women. Like when they speak, listen. Like hear them out and do something with that. So. Go be a world changer. We appreciate y'all. I kind of just spit there for a second. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all listening, watching. That's not a word. Watching, whatever you do. And we'll catch y'all next time. See y'all.
Peace. Wow, we're speaking up a lot right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You kind of sounded like aha a little bit.
Oh my god, it's aha.
It's aha.
Honestly,
Hold on,
hey.
hold on, hold on. Testing. All right, we good.
I gotta say something real quick. So y'all, I'm not really that big of a fan of aha like that, yo. Like,
Yes.
not really, yo. Like,
Have you heard Never Ending Story?
No,
yes,
literally, have you heard Never Ending
it's
Story?
good, but I mean, like 1K. I rock with 1K.
One
You
K
rock
you?
with 1K over aha.
Okay.
1K is fine, don't get me wrong.
1K doesn't
but
go hard, bro.
Not over aha.
Aha's not bad. I just don't rock with
Yeah,
it
you-
as much.
Have you heard the spin
Spin
off?
I've heard.
He went crazy.
Nah, he went crazy.
Hey, sometimes he'll put out songs where I feel like kind of corny, but that's only every now and then though. But like for the most part, I feel like he be trying to bang.
Y'all are corny. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't take aha slander. Thank you very much.
I don't take John Keith slander or Paris Careers.
I love Paris Chris so much.
John Keith
I
goes crazy.
feel like I
Yeah,
physically
John Keith is
relate to
fine.
him.
Yeah.
That's deep, bro.
No,
We
it's
should
not.
save that for the episode.
You know, and I was just thinking that like sometimes in life you just see someone and you may not like see them, but like you see them with your eyes, you know.
Wow.
And so when you do that, you really just start to think about all the things that they went through, and you're like,
Make it end.
yes.
You know, and that kind of reminds me, bro. Like when you see them,
Sit down.
are you really seeing them? Or do you see them?
Do you
Oh, you're not ready. You're not
see-
hearing me,
We're not
Church.
ready.
No, they're not ready.
We hope you guys enjoyed that video, and we have a lot more content coming your way. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and tune in every Saturday at 7 a.m. on whatever listening platform you may be listening to for a new episode of MPower. Catch you guys later. That works. That works.